Alrighty, hey guys, it's me, your boy Ryan Swag, here for your weekly dose of swag tips, right? So, Gen 3, right? It's out, it's about, we've been rocking it. People want to know what the good Pokemon are. So, if you checked out my article on Game Press that was published yesterday about the subject, you're gonna find much of the same in today's stream. But I'm going to be hitting some details, going over some topics that were kind of glossed over in the article. So who are the best new Pokemon from, Gen 3, the update? Well, first off, we got Gyarados, right? Like, comes no surprise that the best Pokemon from the update is one that we already have. But yeah, as you're all probably aware, Gyarados got Waterfall, so now it finally has a water type fast move, so it can finally surpass Vaporeon for that DPS, excellent water type attacker. I believe Waterfall Gyaradoses have been making Ninetales raids, making the solos happen in all forms of weather, so definitely enabling people a bit more there, and stronger water type DPS altogether, so time to throw Vaporeon out, right? Well, not exactly. Vaporeon's still great, and if you compare them side by side, you'll see that Gyarados in all situations has better DPS, but Vaporeon's got slightly better total damage output in all situations as well. So they do have different resistances and weaknesses as well, because Gyarados is that sub-flying type. So Vaporeon's generally going to do a bit better against Pokemon that have like rock attacks. Gyarados is going to have some extra swag against stuff that has like grass attacks and ground attacks, but against like neutral situations where it's like stuff that they both handle equally well, Vaporeon does have that increased survivability. So it's got, Vaporeon's not down and out yet, it's like, that much better for Gyarados and DPS, but Vaporeon's still there, so you don't have to toss your Vaporeon army just yet, And as far as TMing away Gyarados' other fast moves, like, I'd be a little bit hesitant on that. Aza here is asking about what about Dragon Tail, and yeah, I'm definitely advising people hold on to as many Dragon Tail Gyaradoses as they, I guess, personally find reasonable. I mean, Dragon Tail has been replaced by Waterfall. So now it is a legacy move, which means you can no longer get Dragon Tail, which means if some update in the future makes Dragon Tail really cool in some way, then you're going to be like, oh man, TM'd all my Dragon Tails away, jeez, For gym offense, for like general offense, even for raid offense, Dragon Tail really isn't making a whole lot of waves compared to Waterfall and Bite, but for gym defense, Dragon Tail does give Gyarados that extra sort of like neutral coverage. So if something that is resisting water type attacks comes in to fight the gym, and you've got Gyarados in there and you want to give him that extra sort of punch in the gut, Dragon Tail's going to be doing that a lot better. Like, one of my main go-to gym attackers is Dragonite, and I just swag through the whole gym with like 1 or 2 Dragonites, unless there's something specifically in there to throw it off. And when I'm up against Gyaradoses that have Dragon Tail, it's like, geez, could that fight go a little bit faster, But Dragonite resists Waterfall, so it's sort of like, hitting Dragonite with a wiffle ball bat while he beats down on you. So yeah, I'd say Dragon Tail still has its uses, especially on gym defense. In the future, with Dragon Pokemon being out there trying to counter them, Ice types, actual dragons, Gardevoir will probably serve you a bit better there. But if you don't have a whole lot of options, that double Dragon Gyarados is still there, and then windy weather, what's happening now, right? And then there's Bite, and I still feel that Bite is still the best complement for Crunch, for being that like dark type DPS, getting that kind of alternative counter in for psychic type Pokemon that also carry fighting type moves. And I actually made a graph on this part, so I'm just gonna go to that. So we got this graph here, and this is showing Gyarados as a counter to Focus Blast Mewtwo raids, specifically Confusion ones, because that's the main area where people are talking about a dark type Gyarados right now. So the more up and right you are, the better you are. you know, and I also included some rain simulations just to show the little variance there. So not including the rain, you see that that Bite Crunch Gyarados is doing the best, you know, in neutral weather or weather that doesn't buff Gyarados' attacks. You know, Bite Crunch is going to be the best moveset for fighting, you know, the Mewtwo. Waterfall Crunch is a bit drop below. You know, the DPS goes down, the TDO is a bit lower too. Bite Hydro Pump, a lot of people consider to be a good substitute, but still a bit less than Bite Crunch. And then all the way down here, we've got Waterfall Hydro Pump. So it's like, double water is not helping you get that alternative counter in here now, is it? You know what I'm saying? Now, if it's raining outside, I found that Bite Hydro Pump ends up taking the lead because, you know, the difference between, you know, Bite Hydro Pump here and Bite Crunch there, it's like, given how the graph is, it looks pretty wide, but it's only like 1 TDO and like roughly 1 DPS. So in the rain, buffing the water attacks by 20% definitely leaps forward, but Waterfall Crunch, you know, is still behind the Bite Hydro Pump, and this is in the rain, giving it that buff. And then I also want to include Waterfall Hydro Pump, which actually takes a pretty big dang leap there, but still in the rain, it's still going to be behind the Crunch and the Bite Hydro Pump set. So I still feel like having Bite Gyarados is still worthwhile. If having only like 1 or 2 Bite Crunch sets or like a Bite Hydro Pump set, just to have that sort of alternative tech to go up against Psychic types or Ghost types that have Fighting type moves for that alternative counter, I think that's, you know, I think it's worthwhile, you know, so definitely caution against TMing all of them. I guess Aza has nothing but Dragon Tail ones. I mean, like I said, TM as many as you feel comfortable with, because Dragon Tail is no longer accessible. You can't get Dragon Tail anymore. It is now a legacy move, you know, and legacy moves have that odd habit of getting buffed randomly or becoming really good in some niche situation down the line. Looking at you, Omastar, we're all looking at you, you know? So yeah, but yeah, no, best Pokemon from the update, Gyarados, but, you know, Dragon Tail and Bite still have their places in Gyarados' repertoire despite Waterfall's, you know, advantages. So moving on, in the article, I also talk about how Machamp is now this like excellent fighting type still. You know, in a previous video of mine, it was more like, is Machamp going to be good still? It's got 3 fighting types to compete with, you know, Hariyama, Blaziken, and Breloom, and they all have these various advantages. You know, Blaziken's got the fire subtyping, which could help it fight specific Tyranitar sets a bit better. Could help it fight against Dazzling Gleam Blissey. Fire types resist Fairy, so take neutral damage, where, you know, Machamp is taking super effective damage. So it might have had some cool swag there. And then Hariyama has like a really high HP and a really low defense, and a decent sort of attack. So it was sort of like, are the energy gains gonna like give it this boost, this surge in attack that will cause it to be really competitive with Machamp or even surpass it? And then Breloom just has straight up higher attack to begin with, so more of a glass cannon. Is it cannon enough to, you know, not be held back by its glassiness, you know? So I think the best way to really represent the merits of a fighting type is to, oh gosh, use a graph. So I got this fun Blissey sort of by the weather graph, which is sort of like a little light analysis about how weather is affecting the metagame. I still haven't dug too deeply into how weather has afflicted the metagame. You know, a lot of topics to cover with the updates, surprisingly enough. So this is sort of like a light view of weather affecting it, but it also shows the best of the best, fastest sort of Blissey counters here, which is the fighting types. And here we can see that Machamp is still leading the charge, you know, fastest clear time, kind of better survivability than most of them. Hariyama is getting that survivability swag and isn't too bad in time. This is only like a 3-second difference, so it's like, oh man, oh, Hariyama sucks. It's 3 seconds slower at beating Blissey than Machamp is. Like, you know. But yeah, I was surprised to see that Blaziken wasn't swagging too hard. You know, it was like, oh, I thought the resistances and the higher attack stat would help it, you know, get ahead of Machamp, but it didn't. And then Breloom, see, this is 100 power. That means this is defeating one Blissey. Breloom ends up fainting against a lot of Blissey movesets, and this is dodging the special attacks, not the quick moves. So, like, and then if you have to dodge the quick moves, then your time is, like, really gonna sink relatively, you know, so... Yeah, Breloom, a little bit too glass to rate, you know, and if it's against like a beneficial moveset of Blissey, or if Blissey's a bit weakened, its time only really comes out to be like close to Machamp's, you know, it's not really passing it up in any major way, so kind of unfortunate there. But yeah, Hariyama's pretty interesting when it comes to raids though. So raids are what really pushes Pokemon to like the limit in my you know, experience. When you compare like gym fighters, you know, being able to end the fight before the Pokemon gets another charge move off, then that's like that's mad swag for your survivability and your time to win, stuff like that. But in raids, you're really stuck in that battle for a while, you know, so a long-term sort of attack, you know, Pokemon with higher defenses, higher bulk, you know, end up performing a bit better. And from what I found with the raid simulations so far, Hariyama and Machamp are very competitive with each other in a lot of situations. There's some situations where Hariyama's a little bit ahead overall than Machamp, but a lot more situations where Machamp is ahead. And if you consider like the bulk, the survivability, just about all the time Hariyama's a bit better, but when you consider the DPS, the time to win, then Machamp is always doing better. So they kind of have like a duality going on. Sort of like how Gyarados and Vaporeon are, where it's like Vaporeon is, you know, more survivable, more tanky, can take more hits, but Gyarados is whomping with that waterfall constantly and consistently. So, yeah, glad that our investments in Machamp are safe though, so that's pretty dang cool, you know. Yeah, but that's you know, those are Gen 1 Pokemon. Yeah, not even Gen 2. You know, we've got Gen 3 Pokemon to talk about, right? So that was a recording from my live stream SwagTips. SwagTips streams every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Twitch channel SwagTips. If you like this content and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button for some weekly Pokemon Go content, talking about the metagame. Right now, subscribing is definitely the best way to support this channel because I am still under 1,000 subs, right? So if you're sitting there going like, man, Ryan Swag, he's so underrated, you know, subscribe if you haven't, tell your friends to subscribe, get that analytics, let my information flow to the world. You can also feel free to follow me on various social media, also linked below. You can follow me on Facebook, you can follow me on Twitter, you know, just don't follow me down the street, okay?